Perfect. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Madam Secretary, I have 8:30 a.m. We are ready to start if you are.
Good morning and welcome to the 2020 Presidential Electors Meeting, also known as the Electoral College. My name is Barbara Sagaski and I am the Nevada Secretary of State. I will be presiding at this meeting. I want to welcome those in attendance today, including the electors, the alternates, the elected officials, Secretary of State staff, and members of the public. Thank you for joining us this morning. Now, Deputy Secretary of State for Elections, Mark Velashan, will take the role and explain the procedures for today's meeting.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. First, the roll. The primary presidential electors: Senator Cancela, Ms. Blanco, Ms. Dare, Dr. Mahler, Mr. Throneberry, Ms. Whitmer, Mr. Nash, Ms. Snedeker, and Ms. Stevens. There are three other alternates, Madam Secretary, who are in attendance today but are off camera: Mr. Beam, Senator Lang, and Ms. Lynch. Madam Secretary, the roll has been called and all electors are present. Now I will explain today's proceedings, starting with the elector's pledge. NRS 298.045 requires each nominee for presidential elector or alternate to sign a pledge indicating that the signer agrees to vote only for the candidates for president and vice president who receive the highest number of votes at the general election. Each of the 6 electors will now be required to sign the pledge before we move forward with the Electoral College process. At this time, please fill out and sign your electoral pledge. When you are finished, please look up. In a few minutes, you will be required to take an oath of office prior to fulfilling your duties as presidential electors. Following that, we will begin the casting of ballots. Pursuant to federal and state law, you will be casting 2 separate ballots today, one for President of the United States and one for Vice President. Please keep in mind you just signed a pledge indicating that you agree to vote only for the candidates for President and Vice President who receive the highest number of votes at the general election. In addition to this pledge, state law requires you to vote for Joseph R. Biden for president and Kamala D. Harris for vice president. If you vote for any other person or leave your ballot blank, neither of your ballots will be accepted. Your position as presidential elector will be vacated and an alternate will be selected to fill your vacancy. Each ballot before you contains a line for you to vote for president or vice president, as well as a space for you to sign and print your name. Each ballot must be filled out completely, and we have included 3 copies of each for you. We also have a certificate of vote that must be filled out. After the ballots have been counted and the results recorded, you'll be asked to sign 7 original copies of a document titled the Certificate of Vote. The Certificate of Vote is the official record of your votes as presidential electors and will be provided to the President of the U.S. Senate, the U.S. Archives, and Chief Judge of the Federal District Court, Nevada, and to Secretary Sagaski. Each certificate of vote will be paired with an original copy of the Certificate of Ascertainment. The Certificate of Ascertainment contains the vote totals for all nominees for presidential elector from the November 3rd, 2020 general election. Madam Secretary, this concludes my explanation of the procedures.
The presidential electors will now be given the oath of office. Senator Cancela, Ms. Blanco, Ms. Dare, Dr. Mahler, and Mr. Throneberry. I hope I pronounced that right, Mr. Throneberry, thank you. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and state your name, do solemnly swear that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution and the government of the United States and the Constitution and government of the state of Nevada against all enemies, whether domestic or foreign, and that I will bear true faith, allegiance, and loyalty to the same. Any ordinance, resolution, or law of the state notwithstanding, and that I will well and faithfully perform all the duties of the office of 2020 presidential elector on which I'm about to enter. So help me God. Thank you. Ms. Whitmer, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, state your name, do solemnly affirm that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution and government of the United States and the Constitution and government of the state of Nevada against all enemies, whether domestic or foreign, and that I will bear true faith, allegiance, and loyalty to the same. Any ordinance, resolution, or law of any state notwithstanding, and that I will well and faithfully perform all the duties of the office of 2020 presidential elector, on which I am about to enter under the pains and penalties of perjury. Thank you. My staff has provided each of you 2 copies of the oath of office. Please sign both. One copy is for the official records, and one is for you to keep. We will now proceed with the casting of the ballots for President and Vice President of the United States. You each have 2 blank ballots. Once you have made your selections for President and Vice President and filled out each ballot properly, please look up at the cameras. When I see that everybody is finished, we will tally the votes. It appears as though everyone is finished. Deputy Velashan, please tally the votes.
Electors, please hold up only your ballot for the office of the President of the United States. Thank you. Electors, please hold up only your ballot for the office of Vice President of the United States. Thank you. Madam Secretary, we have 6 votes for Joseph R. Biden for president and 6 votes for Kamala D. Harris for vice president.
Thank you. Electors, please sign 7 copies of the original certificates of vote. The certificate of vote is the official record of your vote here today and will be provided to the President of the United States Senate and the U.S. Archives, the Chief Justice of the Federal District Court, Nevada, and my office. Thank you. This concludes our business for the 2020 presidential electors meeting. And I want to thank the Nevada elections team for their hard work in preparing this virtual meeting and thank everyone for joining us this morning. The 2020 presidential electors meeting is now adjourned.